So you want to manage your emotions. Well, first of all, you need to know where they come from, what causes them. Tony Robbins figured out a framework called the Emotional Triad, where he says that our emotions are caused by three things. Number one, what we focus on, what we believe things mean. Number two, the words we use every day or the words we use to describe a particular situation. And number three, the way we use our body, our physiology. Let's go step by step. Number one, what do we focus on? In our lives, a lot of things happen. In our business, a lot of things happen. Do we focus on finding what's wrong? Or do we focus on finding what's already right? In itself, you can tell that if you focus on negative things, you tend to have more negative emotions. When you focus on positive things, you tend to focus on positive emotions. Now, I'm not saying we all should live in a bowl of pink roses. However, it depends in that particular situation, what is useful. Sometimes you do need to find and focus on the negative stuff because you are in the process of critical thinking, you want to improve, etc. However, an overemphasis on negative things tend to bring about an emotion of dissatisfaction, an emotion that something is not good enough, or perhaps you are not good enough. Okay, so you got to have this balance. I don't believe it's always black or white. There must be a gray spectrum there in between. When you are trying to manage your emotion about a certain event, this particular focus angle also means that you have to understand that an event is something that will happen whether or not you control it. I mean, sometimes stuff happens and things happens outside of our control. So an event is usually something that happens. The next step is responding to the event by choosing a productive meaning to the event. For instance, okay, this is a problem, but this is a challenge for me to learn, instead of this is a problem and this is a burden for me. When you decide to have the meaning attached, this problem equals challenge equals opportunity to learn, versus this problem equals burden equals stress, of course you will have a different kind of emotion. So these are two ways you can respond to the same exact problem. So an event just happens. Sometimes you have control, sometimes you doesn't, but how you respond to it determines your outcome. And in this particular audio, what I want to focus on first is the outcome, meaning the outcome in how you feel, because many of us are smart enough to do what we need to do. However, how do we put ourselves in a certain state where we are at our peak performance? And that involves the emotions that we bring in when we work. You know, many of you are very, very smart. However, when you are not using or putting yourself in a certain peak state, when you're not using the right types of emotions, you feel tired, you feel burdened, you feel stressed, and all your brain power kind of gets discounted 50% at least. So this is where I don't want you to get at, and let's get and operate at a peak state. And what determines the way we choose the meaning? Certain things, past judgments, certain past experiences that lead us to believe that it always means a certain thing. Past habits, the habit of thinking negatively, the habit of surrounding yourself with people who are thinking negatively. Past beliefs, past fears. Perhaps you have failed before, or you have been in trouble before because of a certain thing, and then you generalize that everything means that. So watch out for your filters. What filters are you using when you attach meaning to something? More positive filters, neutral filters, or more negative filters? This is something you need to start bringing to the level of consciousness. What do things mean? And how do I determine these meanings? So if you catch yourself attaching always unuseful meanings to certain events, then it's okay for you to kind of introspect and say, like, why am I always doing this? Where is this coming from? Okay, that's meaning. Number two, the words you describe your events with, the words you describe yourself. What are the words you use to describe that particular event, that particular challenge? Do you use the word burden, stress, or do you use more of the words opportunity, challenge, learning, etc., growth? How about yourself? When you want to feel more confident about yourself, what words do you use to describe yourself? Do you discount yourselves with negative words or so-called humble words, which is actually kind of just discounting your personal abilities or personal worth? How do you describe yourself? How do you describe other people? And how do you describe them? Are they more superior than you? Are you always thinking that you are more inferior? Also, the same thing, if you feel a sense of arrogance and you want to change that into more humility, how do you describe yourself? How do you describe others? Most likely you will be describing yourself as a superior while others are more inferior. So these kinds of things, the words you use to describe your environment, describe yourself, describe the events, will determine the feelings you use. The third one is how you use your body, physiology. Look, we are just a collection of cells that need oxygen to survive and to thrive, and we are also a bunch of hormones that we are just a biological mess, okay? So if you do not hold your body or use your physiology properly, you might be thinking that you are feeling a certain negative emotion when it's actually just your body needing a little bit more oxygen movement. Yeah. So for instance, slouching, hanging your head down low. That tends to be a closed type of physiology that actually cuts a significant amount of oxygen and blood flow unnecessarily. I mean, standing up straight, moving a little bit more, exercising a little bit more, cutting out bad habits, eating more nutritionally. It helps your body to feel more fresh. Therefore, it is more positively geared as well. It is more productive. So taking care of your physiology actually helps with emotion. I mean, of course, you know this sometimes when you take a certain a relief, for instance, caffeine, nicotine, alcohol. Sometimes, consuming these things changes the mixtures in your body, and it gives you that little high or that little relaxation for a while. So you know that actually altering certain systems in your body for a while changes certain emotions. Now, of course, you can keep doping yourself. I mean, that kind of stuff. But if you want a more sustainable approach, living a healthy life, standing up straight, holding up your posture correctly, breathing deeply, sitting up properly, will actually help you become more fresh in your body and therefore your mind and your emotions. So, body language and physiology also includes how you hold up your shoulders. Are you relaxed or are you tense all the time? How you use your eyebrows or your facial reactions when you talk to people. Is it a smile or is it something more tense and always serious, or is it flat? That will determine your emotions. The use of your hands. Are you crossing them all the time? That's a very closed, rigid emotion. Or are you also sitting always straight towards the table in the front, or are you more relaxed when you speak? That also will affect the emotion. I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong. You just have to gauge the situation and what is needed. Okay, so these are the three things that you need to pay attention to when you want to manage and alter your emotion. The question is for you to carry out is, when you want to change a certain emotion, when you want to be more in control, the question is, what is the emotion that I want to feel? And if it is not what you are feeling now, the second question is, what is causing me not to feel that way now? And search through the three emotional triads. Is it the focus that I'm focusing on? Is it the meaning that I'm attaching? Number two, is it the words that I'm using? Or is it the way I use my physiology? So, and after figuring out which it could be, then the next question obviously is, which of those three, if maybe it's all, what parts of those three need to be altered for me to feel the emotion that I want to feel? Okay, so hopefully this kind of gives a structure a little bit about this intangible notion of emotion, and also brings to the level of your consciousness where you might be needing to alter yourself in order to achieve the emotion that you consistently want to be at a peak state, to do what you need to do every day. I hope this audio has served you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.